Alrighty, my friends, thanks for being patient. We are back into part 2 of this, I guess, episode 2 of this exploration of the Curse of Strahd and a really spooky mansion as seen through, Archon's background over there. So, we're going to just jump right in. What's up, Explosive Ash? Thanks for hanging out, and I'm going to hand it right over back to Doreen to take it away.
All right, so we just had Ulrich and Galen storm back up the stairs to the attic to rejoin the rest of you. And Ulrich was going on and on about the mist. In between this, in between his ranting and raving, Evandur,
Yes.
you definitely would hear it. You're picking up voices coming from behind the door, the padlock door in front of you.
Oh.
And it's the sound of children. You are able to recognize it as Rose and Thorn. It sounds like they're playing. You can hear a little bit of giggling. But this is also happening at the same time that Ulrich is going on about the mist, and Galen has just returned.
Okay, Evander is going to kind of be overwhelmed and a little confused about Ulrich yelling about mist, but as he sees them come up, he's actually going to turn to Connor, since he's right next to him, and say, "Are you hearing voices through this door?"
Connor can make a perception check if you'd like. Okay, it's a little hard for you to hear it, especially in between Ulrich shouting, but you are able to pick up a little bit, and it does sound like there's some people in this room, this locked room.
Here's something, but I can't tell what it is.
Evander's going to turn to Ulrich and say, "Shh, quiet! I hear Rose and Thorn here."
What?
And you all go quiet, and you can just make out, it's a little muffled, but you can make out Rose. "No, Thorn, no, that's my doll. No, give it to me.
Evander is thoroughly confused and over his head. He just turns to everyone and says, I don't even know what's happening anymore."
We can't trust anything we hear in this place.
Should we explore somewhere else? I don't know that following around ghost children is going to help us here.
Ulrich backs up to the wall and just kind of slinkers down, just holds his head.
So we came in the door next to where Ulrich is standing, correct? Is that the passageway we came up?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I want to come down to this door right down here and see if I can hear anything.
Okay. There's no even need for you to make a perception check because you don't hear anything on the other side of the door.
Okay.
It's silent.
Is there anything above where Galen is over here? Is that another door or is that a window? What is that up above there? Right here.
That is a window.
It's a window, okay.
And all that you're able to make out, if you take a quick peek, is just gray mist.
Is it still raining though?
Yes.
Okay, so I can see the droplets on the
Mm-hmm.
on the paint itself. Okay.
Yep.
Conrad's gonna try the door to his north. If it
He's
opens.
gonna to see if it opens. Okay. Yep. It is unlocked. It does open up. It's dark, but you're still able to make out the general shape of what it is. It looks like to be a spare bedroom with a small bed, a rocking chair, dresser. Other than that, nothing really of note, other than like the iron stove that's in there as well.
What about the door to my south?
That one, you open it. I'll I'll at least pull this in here. It's a much larger room, and it looks to be used for storage. You can just make out some odd shapes that are covered, like draped in cloth to protect them.
Did you pull the audience thing? I'm not seeing it.
I did.
Ah, I don't see it now. That's weird. Is it on a different screen?
It's in a different room now.
Yeah, I'm not able to see it unless it's completely black, if there's no light source or something. Otherwise, I'm not able to see it.
It emits its own light. Well, just for the sake of ease, we'll pull
Oh,
you
there
in
we
here.
go. Okay, yes, now I can see. Cool.
So yeah, you do see that this is probably used for storage. There's you can make out the shape of an iron stove over along one side wall. The shapes you kind of gather, they look like chairs, sofas, coat racks, other types of furniture, but that's it. That's all that you're able to see.
Just step back here and tell everybody else what I saw. Those rooms.
Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing, Connor. Before you step back away, can you just also make me a perception check as well?
Oof, nice.
There we go.
Rolling nice.
Oh,
So
wow, well done.
Yeah.
you see, not too far, kind of like in the middle of the room, that there's a large wooden trunk, and the top of it is slightly ajar, and there looks to be like some type of dress or something like that. A little bit of fabric hanging over the side.
Okay. And now I'll step back and tell everybody what I saw.
I'll report that I hear nothing from the door below to the south of us, but I didn't open it.
Does anybody have some way to get past this lock?
Evander actually, let me see, look at my spells. Evander actually has a way that he could possibly open this door. He's kind of afraid to do it though, because this girl just disappeared. Now he's hearing her on the other side of a door. But Evander says,
And you can still hear them. You know, it sounds like
I can
they're
still hear them.
playing with toys. Mm-hmm.
Evander says, I could get us past this door, but are we sure we want to?
I could use my axe, laddie.
Evander's like, what if we want to lock it back in? I don't know that smashing any more doors is gonna serve us super well.
Only one door has been smashed, laddie.
You could look around to try to
And that
find
was done by Tasso.
Hey,
It was an excellent door smashing by a dwarf standard. So well done, laddie.
All right, what was Ulrich? What were you saying?
Ulrich just kind of backed up against the wall and just sort of hunkered down and was holding his head. But while he's listening to everyone explore the immediate area, and I assume that Ulrich hears the children behind the door of this room?
Yep.
Okay, based on his studies and his knowledge, he just wants to rack his brain to kind of ascertain like what kind of spell this could be, or like what level of illusion magic this would be that could allow something like this to happen.
How many spell slots do you have left now?
Well, I wasn't planning on using detect magic, but I have one of my. I have one left.
Okay. So you're just wanting to like basically do a history check to see
Or
if,
like an Arcana check, perhaps.
okay. Make both.
Okay. Arcana. Well.
Wow.
3. Damn it. Well, Fine.
Mm,
I wanted the
That's
bigger
an
number.
interesting
Uh-huh.
I would say, considering your mental and emotional state, it's really hard for you to pinpoint a particular type of spell that this could be doing, or that you're seeing you're taking a part of. I will say, also because of your emotional state, sometimes when you're in these states of stress, it does also open you up to a lot of other things that normally your rational brain would probably push aside or ignore. I would say that you're getting a feeling that whatever it is, it's very powerful, and it is emanating from a source within the house itself, but not on this level.
He keeps that to himself for now.
Now, what did Evander want to do about this padlock?
Well, Evander, if that's what the group wants to do, is able to. Let me pull it up here. Let me make sure. I assume that this would apply here. He has knock, which allows me to choose an object, a door, a box, a chest, and I can let's see. If it's an arcane lock, I can suppress the lock. If it's just a lock, I can unlock it, basically. So I would use that on the padlock, basically.
All right, and I'm assuming he's explaining this to the party.
Yeah, basically, Evander says, if this is what you all want to do, I have a spell. I can unlock this padlock, but if we do, I can't relock it. It's going to be just unlocked for 10 minutes, and we're letting whatever's in here out.
Well, before we do that, other dwarf mentioned that there was a chest in that room. What if there's something in there to open this up?
The other dwarf's name is Conrad and Darek.
Yes, it is. Tasso's trying to keep that in his memory. Do we want to check out that chest?
I look to Connor and just go, lad, you were right about Rose. What do you think is the best decision to make right now?
Perhaps it would be more prudent to just try to find the keys so we could relock the door if we have to. I would say let's explore the other rooms, see what we can find.
All right. Who's going where?
Evander would follow anybody who goes to explore that chest. He doesn't want to go in first. First of all, he doesn't have a light, and secondly, he's still pretty freaked out.
Yeah, I followed behind as well.
All right, and the dog follows behind Tasso.
In that case, Conrad will go into the storage room.
Okay. I'll just pull
I'll
you
go in with Connor.
and Galen too.
Mm-hmm.
And Tasso, did you say you were following?
Yes, yeah, I'm following along.
Yeah, Evander will as well. Follow the light, basically.
There we go.
I feel like I am
And is
alone in
everyone
the
out of-
dark right now.
I know. Don't
Okay.
worry.
Okay, good. I'm so scared.
Yeah, so as you guys make your way in here, again, these the furniture, everything that's draped in these yellowing cloth bits of fabric, they cast these weird shadows on the wall with the torchlight. The dog doesn't seem too disturbed by anything. In fact, he seems a little happy with being able to smell new things. Ulrich, are you staying in this landing area?
Ulrich was still sitting on the floor, heard the conversation, watched everyone go into a different room, so no one is in eyesight of him now, right?
Right.
Okay, well, first he's going to cast Dancing Lights to give himself some light while he's here alone in this area.
Okay.
And then can I still hear people around me? Like they haven't got out of earshot yet?
You can still hear them.
Okay, well, everyone else is kind of rummaging around. Ulrich's just going to take a minute to collect himself and just start looking around. Does it seem very dusty, like there hasn't been anyone here other than us?
Yeah, so it is very dusty. You are able to see the footprints of the rest of the party. You can tell that there's been a lot of movement in here.
Okay. And is there any more wood paneling on any of these walls out here?
No, so this is mostly just kind of like bare plaster up here. It's compared to the rest of the house, there is nothing ornate about it. It's just very basic and utilitarian. This isn't a living area, so they'd never bother to decorate it.
Okay. You said that Ulrich sensed that there is some sort of strong presence or power somewhere in the house, but he's not sure where that comes from. Like, that was the source of the
Right,
illusion.
not yet.
Okay.
Yes.
Then before people get too far away, he's just going to keep like 15 feet behind where Tasso went and just kind of hang behind that group.
Okay. Is there all right where you are?
Sure.
Okay. So for the party in the room, the storage room here, firstly, everyone just make me a perception check. And secondly, let me know what you want to do in this room.
Honored is going to open up the stove and look inside of it.
Okay. You don't find anything of note in there. There's no wood or coal, nothing to fuel the iron stove. And looks like it hasn't been used in a long time.
Any ash?
No.
Tasso's paying attention more to the dog than anything to see if he's going to react. And are all of the items that are in this room, I mean, from what I can see on the screen, it looks like they're covered with sheets or something. Just everything's covered up.
Yeah, everything's covered up except for the wooden chest.
Okay. And where is that located at?
It's pretty much just kind of let me see. I don't know if they've actually put it in here, but for the sake of use your mind's eye, it's like pretty much right in front of Connard.
Okay.
In the center of this room.
All right. Is there a covered item that looks short enough, like it may be a chair or something along that?
Yeah, absolutely. There's actually a couple of them in here.
Whichever one's closest to me, I'm just going to start pulling the sheet off to see what's underneath.
Okay. As you pull off the one that's closest to you, it does reveal an armchair that's again very very nice, very good quality. This like kind of velvet type of armchair, this deep rich burgundy.
Okay.
Evander wants to kind of go around to these different covered things and see if there's any other instruments, because he's already seen a harp and piano. Is that right? That was downstairs in the music room?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was the harpsichord, and then there was a tall standing harp.
Okay, he wants to kind of look and see if there are any other instruments up here that might have been in storage or something.
I'll have you roll an investigation check and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
What is Galen doing while Evander is looking for this?
The chest is in this room, correct?
Yes, it's in the center of the room.
Okay, then I would actually like to go up to the chest, and I just want to see if this is a chest that looks like it's covered in dust, like it's been sitting here for quite some time. Is it padlocked?
Okay, it's not padlocked. It is open.
It's open?
It's a jar. It's
gotcha. Okay.
kind of like sticking up a little bit, like whatever's in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's too big to fully close and latch the chest. I will also say before you walk away, because you did do pretty well on your perception check, you once again spy a panel in the wall that isn't quite right. Basically to the north wall where your token is right now. That's
Okay.
where you see it. As far as the chest itself, are you going to open it?
No, I'm not going to open it up.
Okay. As you get closer to it again, you can see that it's still a little bit of a jar. There's some fabric from the inside that's hanging over. And I will say also, because you were searching, you recognize part of the fabric as matching a work dress that you found in the dresser of the nursemaid's bedroom.
Oh, okay. Then I'll definitely I'll call over Tasso and Connard
Yes.
and merely state and can just pretty much show them that the fabric that seems to be slightly coming out of it looks like to be the same fabric that we, especially the Tasso, that we found in the cabinets back below the dresser drawers.
What do you make of it?
I'm not sure, laddie. But
Conard's,
she wasn't real.
Conard's gonna take a look back across his shoulder just to make sure there's no invisible anythings that might have entered the room.
Should I
And
open it up, laddies?
hold just a second. Um, without opening the chest, Connor's just gonna grab the fabric and pull on it.
Okay. How hard is he pulling?
If there's like resistance to it coming out, he'll pull fairly hard, but not hard enough that he might tip the chest over.
Okay. All right. So as you reach, or as Connor reaches down to do that, there is a little bit of resistance. Like whatever is in the chest, it's obviously attached to the fabric, but you just give it a quick little yank, and the chest moves just like a quarter of an inch towards you, and the fabric lets loose a bit. And as you pull on the fabric a little bit further, this arm bone falls out of the chest. And once again, you feel this cold wind come about. And the ghost of Lavinia appears once more.
Oh.
And this time, you can see that she's concerned and on the verge of tears.
Does Evander notice this apparition appear?
Yeah, everyone would notice it.
He's backing up again.
Yeah, I take another step back.
I actually take a step forward towards her.
Okay.
Can Ulrich token just step
Right,
in so I can get everyone?
Hold on. Shogi, are you also not able to move your token?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Would it be like right here? There we go.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I'm just checking because I know Ulrich is having problems, so I have to figure that out.
I'm good now. I can move it.
Oh,
But can I step into the room where everyone else is just so I can have a visual?
yep.
Thank you.
I'll bring your dancing lights in as well if you like.
Oh, yeah.
So she looks down at the chest and at the bones, and then she kind of just looks at herself, and you see her like kind of just like touching her abdomen and her chest. And she's like, I knew something bad happened to me.
Whoa. Is that you in there?
Yes, that's my body, my remains.
Where the hell are we?
So sorry about that, lass.
Yeah, she kind of drops to her knees, as almost as if it hit her again. for the first time that she's dead.
Shameful for your remains to be left in a box to rot like this. What can you tell us about those who did this to you?
Connor, I also want you to make me a perception check, please. But she looks up at you and she says, Mr. Durst was always a kind man to me, but Mrs. Durst, I fear, was not as kind. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember seeing her face. And Connor, you can see with this fabric that you kind of pulled out that there's a bunch of holes in this fabric where there really shouldn't be. And it's not from moths eating it or anything of that nature. It almost seems as if the fabric was stabbed with a knife. And you can see blood stains, old blood stains on it.
Conrad's going to stuff the arm bone back inside the box. Close the box. Is there a latch? Keep it
Yeah,
closed?
it has a little latch. There's no lock to it, but it has the latch that would go over the piece where the lock would rest in.
Evander would like to step forward after they've had this bit of a conversation and ask, do you know if anything happened to Rose and Thorn? Were they hurt too?
She thinks for a moment, and I don't know what came of them.
Ulrich shakily speaks up and addresses Lavinia. Do you know who brought us here to this house? Was it your masters?
My masters, I don't know why they would do such a thing.
Why are we here?
I can't answer that for you.
Lavinia,
What happened to Walter last? He
At
was not in the
at
crib.
that, she begins to cry. As if a ghost could cry, that's basically what she's doing. And she says, "You think Mrs. Durst got to him too?"
Her own
Lavinia.
baby?
Is Mrs. Durst the monster that the children were referring to?
No, I don't believe so.
Do you know of a monster that the children would be hiding from?
She again is trying to put things together, like her memories. They aren't all quite there. But she says, I know there were times the Durst would go to the basement. And the children would mention hearing roars of a monster down there, but... And she pauses a moment. And she again touches her chest and her stomach. And she says, I think I died down there.
How?
Oh, you said how or ow?
Yeah.
How?
How? She thinks for a moment. There was a stone altar. And then she holds her wrists. I think I couldn't move. And then it all went dark.
An altar to what?
I'm sorry, young man. I don't know.
How
Did the
long have you
Durst?
been?
Go ahead.
How long have you been trapped like this?
I can't tell. Comes and goes. It seems. I don't know.
Did the Dursts worship any dark gods or magic that you know of?
Not that I know. I can't imagine Mr. Durst doing something like that. He was always a good man. He loved his family.
And what is that mist outside this mansion?
The mist is always here in Barovia.
Barovia. I'm trying to rack my brain to see where in Faerun Barovia is, but I imagine I've never heard of that.
You can roll a history check.
All right. See.
Yeah, well, can I
So
roll a history
excited.
check to
Roll
know
a
if that's?
Check.
Am I able to do that as well to know if
Yeah.
Barovia
Yeah.
sounds familiar?
You might want to. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
definitely. I want to check. Oops, I have the wrong thing pulled up here.
Okay. That actually works out pretty well. So, Evander
Mm-hmm.
and Galen, it does pique a memory for you.
Hmm.
You do recall in one of the towns that you were visiting, and as you were going into the town, you passed by a caravan full of these very flamboyantly dressed people, and Evander, being the chatty person that he is, and also maybe wanting to check if there were anything for sale, some type of instruments or maybe some flashy
Costume
wardrobe.
pieces, you know.
um, you got to talking to some of these people, and they had mentioned that they were from Barovia.
Hmm.
You didn't know, you didn't really expand too much on it. Something really shiny caught your attention at that moment, but you do at least remember the name, hearing Barovia, and of these caravan traveler trader people. And
Do I
Galen,
remember what race they were?
they were humans.
They're humans? Okay.
Yeah, humans, mostly olive skinned, usually dark black hair, brown eyes. But there was still some variety in there as well.
Okay.
But they were
Okay.
almost like they were all human.
Okay.
Okay.
And, Ulrich, just from some of your and
Studies.
probably you, just from some of the time that you spend in libraries and books and things of that nature, you would have come across Barovia. It's usually referenced as a valley that was once here within Faerun, and then it just kind of, not much information was provided. The reasoning behind it in a lot of the literature was that it was conquered and renamed something else within Faerun, but there were really no details about Barovia. They kind of attribute it to some bygone time and place. It's no longer current.
And how long ago would it have been conquered and absorbed into this other?
Thousands of years.
Thousands of. With that, then Ulrich looks at the ghost of Lavinia and says, "But Barovia hasn't been its own state for thousands of years."
So then I've been here for thousands of years? Is that what you're telling me? And then that kind of crumples, like at that idea that she's been trapped here that long, like just breaks her heart.
Evander is going to say thousands of years. Me and what's my friend's name? Galen met some people from Barovia just a few years ago. You remember that caravan, Galen?
I Evandora. I do.
This house and this furniture obviously is not thousands of years old.
It does not seem like it. Not at all.
Yeah. Again, as she like kind of falls over, being dealt this blow that she's been trapped for so long, she actually just kind of dissipates and disappears.
Lavinia!
A dungeon master question. So when the valley, it just became part of like another nation, Barovia did, but would I remember that within Barovia itself, would the people still identify as part of Barovia, or was all trace of that kind of region and culture just faded with time?
It faded with time, but also it faded with being conquered. Like conquering army is gonna come in and get rid of all of that in time. So it just would have kind of fallen out of use.
Okay.
Especially as the older generations kind of die out, you would imagine that they would no longer identify as Barovian.
Okay. Got it. This doesn't make any sense. Barovia hasn't existed for all this time.
Avengers
Nothing
goes,
makes any sense, laddie.
yeah, what about the ghost and the 2 ghost children? Yeah, I'm pretty sure nothing makes sense here.
We have to get Lavinia to come back. We have to ask her more questions. She seems fragile.
I have no magic to help with that.
My eyes kind of narrow at Connard, and Ulrich seems like he's mulling something over, if he should say something, and then Ulrich says, "There's a dark power in this house that is the source of the illusions. I don't know where it's coming from, but I feel it."
It has to be coming from the basement.
What I was about to say, lad.
Be
Also, don't forget about that. Oh, I'm sorry, Zach. Just real quick, don't forget about that secret door, Galen. That you.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, what was Connor going to do?
I was just saying that makes sense given what the children told us. But I think we need to see that this woman's remains receive the respect they are due.
I agree.
Avenger wants to
I
turn to
absolutely agree.
Galen and ask if, as a paladin, he can put her at rest somehow.
I'm sure that we might be able to do that, laddie. But I would like to, if anything, take her far away from here. She's been down here for much too long.
Can Ulrich kind of try and think what sort of magic or events would have caused a spirit to be connected to a certain place?
You would know that it's sometimes not even magic based. Oftentimes, spirits become attached to a certain building, a certain part of land. Now, the reason why, you have no idea. That's beyond your knowledge.
And is there something that maybe Ulrich in his readings has come across about gods that ask for blood sacrifices on the altars? Probably a lot.
I was going to ask, can I make
Yeah,
a religion
there's
check
a shit ton. A religion check for what?
to see if what she was talking about sounded somewhat ritualistic to a specific religion or anything like that I might have known? It sounds realistic. Sorry, not realistic. Ritualistic by the way she was describing it, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, go ahead and make a religion check. Okay. So I would say, just based off of the little information that she gave you, no one god or being springs to mind, but
Okay.
it does kind of tickle that little part of your brain that makes you worry, and it does very much feel demonic in nature.
Okay.
And has Ulrich, in his readings, ever come across descriptions of this kind of mist or any stories associated with these dark happenings in Barovia?
So no, as far as those details, none of that you've come across. I will also say that going back to your first question, as far as what type of gods and things like that, you would probably, and maybe even Connor too, think that this is some type of dark energy, something demonic. So what would you guys like to do going forward? You have the door on the other side of that wall. You can still hear the faint musings and giggles of the children behind the locked door.
Lavender wants to ask Galen if he's going to put her spirit to rest. We're just going to leave her bones here.
Wait,
Yeah.
if you put her to rest, does that mean that you release her spirit? She's our only source of information.
Yeah, but she comes and goes as she pleases.
Maybe
Is
we
it
should.
because she pleases or because she hasn't found peace? If we let her find peace, does that mean she goes away forever and we're just trapped here with nothing?
Maybe we can
It's
bring
not
her
this
remains with
immediate
us.
to it, and nobody deserves to be treated in the way that she was treated.
I agree.
If we can make that right, we must.
If we free her spirit, maybe she will be free to tell us more. Who knows?
Is that how it works? Do you know? And I look at Galen.
In some instances, yes, laddie, it does. But if
I would
anything,
like.
she deserves to be at peace. Do you not think so? She's done
I would
enough.
like all you guys to roll an insight check for me, please.
Insight.
Okay. I would say Connard and Ulrich, you're kind of replaying a lot of what Lavinia was saying while you're trying to contemplate what to do with her remains, what to do within this house. And thinking on the house, you're thinking of everything that you've seen up to this point. And you kind of are able to put two and two things together. And you're wondering, thinking on what was said about Mr. Durst, Mrs. Durst, and that strange painting in the landing on the third floor, where Mrs. Durst was looking down at baby Walter with scorn. And remembering Lavinia saying that Mrs. Durst was never too kind to her, but Mr. Durst always was.
I wanted to ask Lavinia before she disappeared who Walter's mother was. I was already suspecting it might have been Lavinia. It would be exceptionally uncommon for a mother to look at her own child the way that Mrs. Durst was looking at in that painting.
I would like. Hold on, let me go back to something. I need to go back to your perception rolls when you guys first got into here. Oh, that's right, Evander. We didn't go over. So, you were able to, at least before Lavinia appeared, you were able to find a harmonica. I'm going to give you a
Harmonica. Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Add to my menagerie of instruments. I like it.
Nice and dusty.
It
Yeah.
could be fun, yeah. It's clearly not been used in a while. A little bit, like one corner is a bit rusted, but you think you can get that all cleaned up. You know, a guy.
Never met an instrument I couldn't tune up.
Yeah, exactly. I will say, just looking at these rolls also, that, especially since you're kind of right in front of it, Connard, you see kind of on the other side of like where the stove is, there's like a little shelf over there, but there is a letter that appears to be on this you assume it's a table, and that's still covered in the cloth, but there's a single letter left there, kind of thrown open on this table.
I'll take a look at the letter.
Okay. I'm gonna just show it to everyone, just so everyone can see it.
Nice.
But this is the letter that you pick up, Connor. Does everyone see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Let's
just
see
making-
if I can put it on stream. There we go. A little blurry, but yeah, I think that's legible.
Oh, it has the text written out below.
Yeah.
Oh, does it? Oh,
Yeah, if you
thank you. Hopefully, it's a little too wide to fit on my screen. Okay. Do you mind if I just read this out loud, just so?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I would love it if someone read it out loud.
My most pathetic servant, I am not a messiah sent to you by the dark powers of this land. I have not come to lead you on a path to immortality. However many souls you have bled on your hidden altar, however many visitors you have tortured in your dungeon, know that you are not the ones who brought me to this beautiful land. You are but worms writhing in my earth. You say that you are cursed, your fortune spent. You abandoned love for madness, took solace in the bosom of another woman, and sired a bastard son. Cursed by darkness? Of that I have no doubt. Save you from your wretchedness? I think not. I much prefer you as you are, your dread lord and master, Strahd von Zarovich. Lovely letter.
And Connor,
Does the name sound familiar?
You can make me a history check.
My history is in the garbage. And it
And it is in the garbage, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't ring any bells.
Evander actually wants to do a check if he remembers this name from any of the stories he heard growing up from like his father telling of history and traveling storyteller.
Okay.
Would that also be a history check, I guess?
Yep, it would.
Okay.
And if anyone else wants to roll to see if they might recognize it.
There we go.
For Ulrich, he maybe not necessarily a history, but just because he wants to see if mention of dark powers or other details of this letter kind of resonate with him on an intuitive level. So I don't know, maybe like a wisdom check or insight.
Yeah. I always prefer insight when you're kind of looking for something like that. So
Sure.
go ahead and do that. So Evander, with that wonderful natural, it's exactly what you guys needed. If it wasn't a natural, y'all wouldn't know shit about shit. But you do recall your father telling a story about a man named Strahd,
Okay.
and you remember that it chilled you to your bones. He mentioned that this creature, he didn't even call him a man, this creature was incredibly dangerous and powerful and bloodthirsty. And you were a very young child when he told you this.
Mhm.
So a lot of the details have kind of gotten lost, but the certain emotions always stuck to you. And you remember being very frightened at upon hearing the story of Strahd and how he would eat his victims. He would often make them feel as if they were friends right before tearing their throats out.
Mm. Evander is going to tell his fellow compatriots that Strahd is a person that he has heard tell of and is somebody who's always terrified him when he's heard stories of him.
Yeah, you always kind of attribute it to like the boogeyman, something
Okay.
that wasn't really real. Um, but this kind of like shakes you a little bit, even as a grown man.
Okay.
Ulrich will,
Ulrich,
Ulrich wanted to respond to what Evander was saying and say,
okay.
but if Strahd is from Barovia, how can he still be alive?
Evander just says, I heard these stories as a child. I always thought they were fairy tales. I didn't think this was a being of flesh and blood.
And how old does the letter seem, the condition that it's in?
Well, first, let's go back to your wisdom check here. So you were trying to ascertain if anything that was written in the letter kind of struck a chord with you.
Mhm.
Okay. I would say the mention of the dark powers. You recall maybe your mother mentioning something of that many, many years ago. And you were still very, very young. You overheard her talking with someone about the dark powers.
This is going to cause Ulrich to be very frightened, but he's going to do his best to just not seem affected by hearing this.
Okay. What is everyone else doing?
Honored says, well, after reading this letter, I think it's most likely that it's Master Durst rather than the mistress who's responsible for the state of affairs here. Seems he's the one who sought favor with dark powers and probably caused this whole whatever this is to come about. Suspect he may be the one we'll find in the basement.
I want to, after hearing all these stories, I would like to completely open up the chest
Mm-hmm.
to see is this a complete skeletal remains of Lavinia?
Yes. Just taking a quick look, taking into account that they probably got a little shuffled with Connor yanking on things, but it does look to be like a full skeleton, like she was just shoved into this chest, left up here to rot, forgotten.
Should we wrap them in a sheet and take them with us?
I would make a coffin of this box once we've finished our business in this house.
I think Tasso's right. We should take the bones with us.
How are you going to carry them?
Is there maybe a sheet around in the room,
We
or
have all the sheets that are covering the furniture.
Tons of sheets around you.
Ulrich's not doing it? He just threw the idea out there.
Well, if we truly want to bring this woman to rest, I think not only do we honor her with a proper burial, but we take care of whatever evil did this to her in this house.
Agreed.
What makes you think that we have a chance against it?
believe it may have been Vinia's spirit that brought us here for the purpose of righting whatever wrong occurred. I don't think that would have happened if we weren't capable of doing what needs to be done.
How could her spirit have pulled us all here? I mean, is there something? Does that sound familiar at all to Ulrich? I mean, are there stories of spirits that can transport people vast distances to kind of right their wrongs or anything like that?
Well, nothing as far as vast distances, but you do know oftentimes spirits tend to linger. Um, Sometimes due to unfinished business, sometimes because they haven't been laid to rest properly, sometimes they're just angry, sometimes they're full of sorrow. So any strong emotion can also keep them tied to the material plane. Um,
Right, but they don't necessarily have power if they're tied here, right?
right. Yeah. So, like, if you wandered into their space, they would manifest and maybe plead for help or try to scare you so that you would leave. But they don't normally bring people into their space.
Right. And this is something Ulrich would probably know from his readings.
I think most people would probably know that.
General knowledge. Okay.
Yeah,
What?
I mean, I feel like, but again, maybe I was a weird child. Like, I feel like that's just general knowledge people have about ghosts, right? As you're growing up, especially in this type of setting, storytelling is a huge thing. So, especially on those cold winter nights, things are dark, it's windy, um, getting a little spooked by some ghost stories seems relevant. And it's not like ghosts don't exist here. So, there's always a little bit of truth to all of these stories.
Okay, so Ulrich is going to say to Connor, how could a simple ghost have brought us here? She wasn't even anything like a wizard in her life.
For all I know, this entire situation might be hallucination brought on by rotted grain I ate at the side of the road. Regardless, being aware that a grievous transgression like this may have taken place, I refuse to look away.
But
I look
remember
at-
what the letter said? It said that Mr. Durst brought people here.
So it seems, and sacrificed them.
Then
This cannot be
that could
tolerated.
What are you guys gonna do?
I look at our dwarven friends and say, "You trusted your instinct when maiming the girl, and it proved to be true. What does your instinct tell you now?"
My instinct now tells me I must see whatever we are expected to see in the padlocked room and make our way to the basement and put rest whatever evil plagues this place.
Then I stand behind Dwarf Underdark.
And
You
see that
dark.
gate?
Oh, and Dark.
And Doric. You can see that Galen is, interestingly enough, holding the bony remains of her hand.
Like the finger bones?
Yeah, and just like gently holding them, just
Okay.
because he seemingly is emotionally affected
Okay.
by what has happened to her, and he's
I
trying
would
to
also
doing his best
say-
to be as gentle.
Yeah, due to your paladin ways, you would definitely know certain prayers and rites that you could probably say right now to maybe put the remain, or just to make give it a can't give it a proper burial at the moment, but maybe something of the sort. You would be able to do that.
I
It
merely
wouldn't
just
take
get down
long,
on
it's
one
just a
knee.
quick little-
Sure.
Okay.
I merely get down on one knee, and I look to Evander, and I just go, lad, you know my ways. You know my oath. I follow the oath of vengeance, and a grievous sin has fallen upon this lass. A grievous sin. That she got wrapped up in a part of this. To whatever ends it takes me, and by any means necessary, I will do my best to right this wrong for her. This is my way. I pray that
Evander-
you understand, lad.
Evander nods, and he actually pulls out his lute, and he's going to play a funeral dirge, basically, to kind of, you know, be a musical part of the ceremony to try to give a little bit of reprieve of pain, basically.
Tasso is also going to reach into his pocket, pull out a few flower petals, and crush them between his hands. And with a little bit of a sprinkling, cast Druid Crafts to create a little bit of a floral arrangement within the chest.
Ulrich watches from the corner with a bit of a sneer.
In Dwarvish,
Alright.
then I would like to say just a gentle prayer and an oath to her. You may be at peace now, lass. There are other roads and other paths than these. Go and find peace. This place will remember you. I swear upon it. They will pay with their lives, lad. Yes. Farewell.
What makes you think you have the power or the strength to fight against whatever this is?
It doesn't matter. It's what I am going to do. So you can
Before
sit and
the-
you can slink her into a corner if you like. That door downstairs is still open. The mist awaits you.
For the first time since you guys have approached or been on this level, you feel a sense of warmth. A warm breeze kind of flows through this room, and it picks up a little bit of a few of the flower petals that have fallen from the bouquet, and it just kind of, for a moment, circles over the chest, and then everything falls silent again.
If that's not a sign we're on the right path.
This house is full of illusion. What if it's the sign they want you to see?
Then we'll see it out. At least I will.
And don't you think it's suspicious that Connard here is so eager to run up against this thing? Did you read the letter?
Yeah,
Multiple
I totally read the letter.
Because I read the letter that my mind is made up. I cannot overlook this, and I cannot walk away.
And so you would just take us all wherever you want, down to the basement to see whatever this monster is.
I prescribe no action on your part. I'm simply stating what I will be doing.
And are you doing this because you were brought here, or because you are serving the powers that were mentioned in this letter? How do we know you're not working for whoever brought us here? You're so eager to take us down to the basement where this altar was.
You have a better plan?
You can't know, lad.
Show us the way out, wizard. Show us how to get out of here. If you do not have a better idea, I follow the dwarf.
You'll have to do what you think is right.
Ulrich doesn't answer. He just glares at everyone.
I'm going to
All right.
destroy the
Gonna
altar
start
one way or
going
another.
to the Conrad's walking towards the door with the padlock on it.
Okay,
follow.
hold on.
So, question on positioning. So, we all came through the south here, right? That's
Yeah,
how we
there's only
entered
one
this,
door. There's only one door into this room.
which is the
It's
southern
right.
door.
It's north of where your token is right now.
Oh, no. Okay. And the box where the remains are is on the opposite side of the room.
Yeah, it's pretty much in the center of the room, right where Galen technically is right now.
So everyone's exiting.
Before Connard and Tasso go out, I'm still holding the remains, and I just go, "There's a panel over there, laddies, that's askew."
Like the one we found in the downstairs.
Just like the one we found. This place has many tricks, it seems.
Does Connard want to go check out that door, or would he prefer to still look at the padlock door?
No, he'll at least look at the secret door or the panel,
Okay.
whatever it is that's been discovered.
Yeah, it's like a panel that opens into the room that you're in. That's where the hinges kind of lead it into. So as you open this, you're hit with this very strong smell of damp earth. And you see this very tight spiral staircase just descend into darkness. It's you would imagine it goes, you guys are on technically the 4th level now. You imagine it goes all the way down to where the basement should be, but you can't actually visually see the end of it. And
The question before us. Right,
hold on. As you are there looking down, you can even you begin to hear this chanting coming from far deep, like below you. You don't know what they're saying at this moment, but it's obviously some type of chanting in unison. That's basically all that you would see and hear.
I'll relay what I noticed to the rest, everybody present. I'll say the question before us, we want to see whatever the children have to show us, or just proceed down this stairway, I believe, to the ultimate resolution.
Evander says, with the help that Lavinia gave us, I feel like we might find wisdom from the children who have lived here before us. I say we might want to pursue. They were never aggressive or deceitful towards us. They were just innocent like children are.
We may learn more of this monster.
Pursuit of knowledge is rarely futile. I agree.
I take her clothed remains, I leave the bones, and I wrap it up and I put it in my backpack.
Okay, so you take her bloodied,
Right.
torn. Okay. All right. Is everyone leaving this room to the padlocked area? Just because I need to know so I can move your token.
Yes, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
Ulrich lingers behind everyone and he waits until everyone moves out of the room. And when they don't have a clear view of him, he's going to go over to where the bones were, and he's going to try and pick off one of the bones from Lavinia and keep them with him.
Okay, what bone is he trying to?
Whatever is the easiest. If there's like a finger bone,
Oh yeah, there's tons of little finger bones, wrist bones, bunch of small little bitty bones.
he needs to gather a few small bones and just tuck them into his cloak.
Okay, you want a couple of her wrist bones? I don't even want to know what you're going to do with that. But all right, you got them. All right, so, but then Ulrich will eventually follow everyone out. Is that right? Okay, so I'll just
Keeping like at least 10 feet behind.
move you over here then, just for ease. What does everyone want to do out here?
Lavender wants to move to the door and say, if we are all agreed, I can magically unlock this door, unless somebody found a key that I didn't
We
notice.
still have other rooms that we can check.
There were
too.
no keys in all of your searches. There were no keys.
There's still 2 more rooms.
Well, they looked at one of the rooms. Well, technically, you guys looked at both. Well, no, just the one. The one spare
Right.
bedroom that's right across from the storage room door. And then you listened to the door, the southern door here, and you didn't hear
Right.
anything. But for the sake of brevity, it's just another spare bedroom.
Okay.
I will say the only thing that kind of piques your interest in that room is this this kind of stuffed doll. It's wearing like this red dress, has this blonde straw colored hair that's made out of yarn. Other than that, it is pretty much identical to the other spare bedroom.
Evander would actually like to take this doll, pick it up, and see if it doesn't fall apart in his hands or not.
Yeah, it does not fall apart.
If you turn that over and it says Annabelle on there,
No,
I'm gonna cut your hands off.
not yet. But you do, as you do turn it over, kind of look at everything. You do see a little tag on it that says has like a little phrase written into it: "Is no blinksy, is no fun."
Is no blinksy,
In
is
common.
no fun.
Yes, in common. But other
Okay.
than that, it just looks like a pretty standard stuffed cloth doll.
Evander basically assumes this is Rose's because she heard her say something to Thorn about you can't have my doll or something like that. So
Yeah.
that's what he assumes.
Yeah, like picture Raggedy Ann, but
Mhm.
with yellow yarn hair instead. That's basically what you have there.
Well, Evander wants to, as we've searched and found this, he wants to actually kneel before the door, take a look at this lock. It's a padlock, right?
Yep, it's a padlock.
He kind of wants to hold in his hand and kind of look around to everyone and say, "Are we in agreement? Should I open this?"
Just make sure you take the lock off the door so that it doesn't relock us in there.
That's good thinking. And Evander will use, let me link it again, his spell Knock to unlock the
Okay.
padlock.
And as you use it, it clicks open. You're gonna grab the padlock, you said?
As it unlocks, I'm going to take it out of the latch that it's through, and I'm going to put it on the floor next to the door,
Okay.
rather than
Alright,
holding
it's,
on to a metal lock or anything.
Yeah, it's pretty hefty, so you're kind of glad to kind of just like place it down rather than carrying it around. But yeah, it unlocks. You put it down. Are you opening the door?
Can I still hear the children through the door?
Yes. This entire time you can hear them giggling, laughing, teasing each other. You know how siblings are.
Okay. Well, then
"No,
what
you're
I...
more ugly. Mama loves me more."
Okay. Well, Evander doesn't know if Rose will remember him since she disappeared strangely earlier, but he's actually going to take out his lute and he's going to start playing a little children's ditty as he opens the door and walks in singing a ditty about a girl who lost her doll.
Okay. And as you walk in, first, before I bring you in, let me describe what you see. So let me pull up the official module here, because this one's too good not to use.
Just got real.
Directly in front of you, the first thing that catches your eye is, hold on, let me bring in the audience one too.
I think for some reason I don't have visual on the audience one. I think maybe I don't have control over it or something. But I do see me.
Yeah, I'll look at that. But
Okay.
So the room contains a bricked up window,
Oh.
and it's flanked by 2 dusty wood frame beds about the size of children. Closer to the door, you see a toy chest that again has that that familiar windmill icon painted on the side. And there's a dollhouse that just quickly looking very, very reminiscent of the very house that you're in right now. And the furnishings, again, just draped and covered in cobwebs and dust. Lying in the middle of the floor are 2 small skeletons.
Hmm.
They're wearing tattered but familiar clothing. And the smaller one of the 2, you can see, is cradling this stuffed doll that you recognize. You guys may not remember, but when you first met Rose and Thorn, Thorn was grasping this doll. And that's the same doll that you see being held by these small skeletal fingers.
Hmm.
So Evander walks in singing this happy little song
Mm-hmm.
and sees these dead children in front of him.
Well, Evander, ever the consummate performer, as he's playing this happy ditty in a nice major key, as he walks in and sees this, modulates to a minor key and turns it into an echo of the funeral dirge he sang earlier for Lavinia as he
Okay.
walks
Lamentation.
around. Yeah, this lamentation as he walks around the 2 skeletons. And as he finishes, he wants to see if he can pull out the doll that he grabbed earlier, if it's even still in his pack or not.
Yes, it's still there. And as you pull it out, you feel this cold wind. And by now, I think you guys know what that means. And you see the ghostly forms of Rose and Thorn appear at the far side of the room. And you guys are probably still close enough to like peer in and see this, but if you want to go into the room, let me know.
I'd like to pick up the padlock and stuff it in my backpack before I walk in.
Okay. That's easily done, no big deal.
I'll follow in after Galen.
As will Connor.
Ulrich will stay at the doorway.
All right, I'm gonna have to. It's getting a bit crowded in here.
Not a big room for these children.
No, not a big room. And yet, here comes the dog. Just he
Still
doesn't,
trailing after.
he's just sniffing around.
He doesn't want to be left behind.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got to follow Tasso everywhere. But you see the 2 children appear in front of you in this ghostly spectral form, and they definitely look a lot different than what you previously saw before. They were more alive. They had a flush to their skin. Here, they're very, very much this gray type of purpley spectral type of form that you can see through, very similar to Lavinia's. And Rose, once again, is holding Thorn's hand, who's clutching at his little doll. And she looks down and she says, "Oh, yes, now I remember. He died." And she looks up to you, Evander. "We were so hungry. So hungry." And Thorns begins to cry at this moment.
Evander just looks at Rose and says, "Rose, what happened to you?"
Mummy left us in here. They went to the basement like they always do to deal with the monster, and she never came back. She said we would be safe in here, but we're so hungry. We never saw her again.
Does she have 2 hands?
She does have 2 hands. Yes.
Galen feels much better.
From the doorway, Ulrich says to the children, "What is the monster that's in the basement?"
I don't know. We were always hidden up here, protect us. It was always something Mummy and Daddy went down to.
Do you know who Strahd is?
Yeah, everyone knows who Strahd is. He's our ruler.
What is he?
I don't know.
Is he a man? Is he mortal?
These are very strange questions. I guess so.
What does he look like?
I don't know. I've never seen him, but there's the I've seen his face on the money.
What is the mist?
We've always been told not to go into the woods, or the mist will get us.
There's
So we stay
woods.
home.
There's woods outside this place.
Is it very strange? Thorn is kind of like tugging at her arm. It's okay. Just let me answer this strange man's questions, okay? Yes, there are woods. Did you not see them?
All we saw was mist.
Okay.
Rose, do you remember anything about Lavinia?
Oh, Lavinia. And she kind of smiles warmly at the notion of Lavinia. She's like, yes, she was always very nice to us. She would give us cookies.
Do you remember if she ever left you?
She thinks really hard, like not that I know of, but she mostly spent her time with baby Walter. You know, he's a baby. I'm much older than that. I didn't need her as much.
Rose, is this your dog, Lassie?
She looks like kind of beyond. No, that's not mine, but I can't have a dog anymore. So.
Wait a minute. If everyone's dead, who's been feeding this dog?
Again, she looks very confused by your questions.
Just asking everyone.
I have.
Oh, yeah.
Feeding him some jerky on the side or something.
But as far as we know, like, he didn't look malnourished
No.
when we met him, right?
Maybe a little bit dirty. Like maybe he's gotten into some mud or whatever, but no, he looks mostly well taken care of. Like he was obviously someone's pet.
Have you ever seen this dog before, Lass? His name is Prince Charming.
That's a cute name for a cute dog, but no, I've never seen him before.
Is there anyone else that lives in the house besides you and your parents and Lavinia?
We had a cook who would, but she didn't live here. But so no, that would be it. It was just a family.
I turn to the group and say, why were there lights on the first floor when we first got here? Who turned them on?
And there's
Not
a lot
sure,
of
laddie.
questions. Who brought us here? Why are we talking to ghosts? I don't think we're going to get very many answers in here.
Children, where is Walter?
Wait, I'm sorry. What was that? Zach?
Where is Walter?
Mummy had him last before she locked us in here.
Or she went to the basement?
I believe so. She always goes down there after locking us in here.
And you don't know what the monster is that she talks about?
No, but we would hear it roaring and yelling, and it was scary.
Yelling? Did it say any words?
No, just. And Thorn kind of like whimpers and hides his face. Just angry.
Did your
Not-
parents ever have people over?
Well, they would have dinners, but we were not allowed to eat with them.
Were there any
What?
children of these people who
No.
came to play with you? No?
Never brought any kids to play with.
Ulrich looks at the paneling and points to the windmill picture and says, "What is this? Why is it everywhere in the house?"
That's it's on Daddy's ring that he uses with his letters.
Family
His,
crest.
his signet ring?
Yes, that's what he called it. Signet ring.
Was your dad somebody important like Strahd? Was he a count or something?
I mean, people came to him with issues, and he was always busy, always in his office, writing letters and doing business stuff.
What did
But
other
I-
people call him?
Lord Durst.
While this conversation's going on, can I look around for any secret panels that we've seen in a couple of different rooms already?
Yeah. Go ahead, do a perception check for me. Okay. So you don't see any secret panels in here. You do take a little bit closer look at this dollhouse, though, and again, it's pretty much an exact replica of this house that they've been living in, complete with a map of all the secret doors. Most of them you've already found. The only one that kind of strikes your interest is back on the first floor. There's a little marking in what looks to be like a study or an office. There's a trap door in there. But there's no, obviously, replica of this basement.
Okay, I'm gonna make a mental note of that trapdoor. And whoever's standing closest to the dollhouse, I'm gonna gesture to them so they can see it too. I don't know who that'd be.
Where is the dollhouse?
Maybe
I'm not sure what the dollhouse is.
it's over where he's actually standing.
Oh,
Okay.
so I
Well,
guess
then
it'd
I'm
be
over
me.
there. But
Me,
I'd motion to
me and
Galen.
Prince Charming. Me and Prince Charming are like,
Yeah.
take a look.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah,
Ulrich's
the dog
token-
is very interested, but he's actually more interested in the smell of the jerky that he's smelling on your hands. Also,
The bones.
but other than that, that's pretty much all that's really in here.
You said the dollhouse shows all of the secret doors. Do they show where the secret doors lead to?
They just have little staircases that kind of go up and down.
Okay, so the one that was in the previous room,
Mm-hmm.
in the storage room, does
Yep.
essentially lead down to where a basement could be.
Yes.
Okay.
Can Ulrich's token go in the room so I can get a visual?
Oh, are you not in there? I thought you were.
I'm still standing right outside. Yeah.
We're all in here now.
It's okay. I'm imagining.
It's very
Oh.
tight.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I'll have him come out. Just
Yeah.
I want to be able to see the skeletons of these poor children.
Is there? Did we ever encounter the actual basement entrance before? Not the spiral staircase going down, but the actual just.
No.
Okay.
What is Connor
Anybody-
doing or thinking?
Does anybody else have questions for the children?
I think that so is the doll that's being clutched in the skeleton's hands similar to the one that
Yeah.
Evander has.
Rand, sorry, you're
Yeah, Evander, huh?
Yeah, Evander, thank
Yeah,
you. Go
I
ahead.
would say it's similar. It's probably the male version of this doll that he now has, that Thorn is holding on to.
Can I gesture to Evander to hand me the doll?
Sure. Evander looks at it and hands it over to Tasso.
I'm just gonna gently lift up the larger of the two skeletons' arms and put the doll underneath it.
Okay. And Rose watches. She then looks up at you. So, are you going to kill the monster now? Will we be able to leave this room?
That's the plan. We just gotta figure out how to do that.
Thank you.
Any help that you could provide us, anything, even little bit of information that you've heard from mommy or daddy
She
may help us.
looks really serious for a moment, like she's really, really wanting to find something that would be helpful. She's like, I'm sorry, they'd always locked us up here and would never let us down in the basement, but
That's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out.
be careful. What would you guys like to do now?
I'm gonna start to walk out to and to go by. Before that, though, I'd like to ask her one question because she gave us the crossbows
Yeah.
from that room.
They
And
were
I would
from
like
the
to-
den on the first floor.
Right. I would like to ask her as I'm walking by and show it to her and just go, Lass, were these your father's?
Yes, those were his hunting bows.
Understood.
What did he hunt, Rose?
Wolves, mostly. The woods. The woods are full of wolves. We would hear them howl at night.
Did he ever bring back anything that he killed?
Yes, there was and she describes the wolves that were actually in that den that were stuffed.
Okay.
But also we would have wolf steak. It was so good. It's very good.
Wow, sounds
Take
like
the
your
box
dad was a
out.
good hunter.
So hungry. But yes, he was good. He was gonna teach me, but well, she kind of looks down at her skeletal body.
Who
Should we try to
had
perform the same ritual we did?
well? Who had the jerky earlier? You said somebody was holding jerky.
Tasso.
Tasso.
After you took the
You
doll,
all would have some type of rations. And
I actually
things
want to take the jerky from Tasso, and I want to see if I can hand it to Rose. She keeps talking about how hungry she is. I want to.
She, like,
Break you off a
reaches
piece?
out, but her hand just passes right through you.
Well, then when I see it go through her, I just, like Tasso did with the doll, put it down to her skeleton there as a symbol of trying to give her something to eat.
I'm
Thank
going
you.
to kneel down and hold both the hands of the skeletal children and do exactly the same prayer and ritual that I did for Lavinia.
I
Before I
the
do
same thing
that,
as well.
I look back to Ulrich and I just go, anything else you want to ask them, lad, before we do this? This is going to happen one way or another.
One last thing, Rose. Do you know how we get out of this house? The door was locked from the inside. Is there a key, another passage to go outside?
Does the door not work?
No.
I don't know. I don't know the question. We would always just leave. Mommy and Daddy, we would have to leave with Mommy or Daddy, but we could never go alone because it's not safe. But we could always come and go as we please. Until, again, she looks at her skeletal remains.
Thank you.
And with that, I invoke the same prayer.
Mm-hmm.
I look to Evandor to see if he can play the same lamentation.
He will, this time with a little bit more lightheartedness to give them something happy to remember.
I'll do the same druid craft as before.
Okay. Conrad and Ulrich doing anything?
I wait until everyone leaves.
It says, I apologize what happened to you earlier. We misunderstood your nature. Thought you were deceiving us, but now we know it was the monster in the basement.
She looks at you a little, you can see just a quick flash of confusion, but she doesn't say anything beyond that. So make an insight check for me. Okay. Yeah, you aren't entirely certain why she doesn't seem to know what you're referring to.
Ulrich notices this exchange, and he knows that there was some sort of illusion magic that was attached to the original images of Thorn and Rose, but this clearly is a ghost, so I don't know if there's some way that he can try and confirm that like this is definitely a spirit as opposed to the illusion they encountered earlier.
Yeah, so I mean again, they look completely different visually.
Right.
They don't look like anything how you saw them before. They really do look very similar to how Lavinia looked as an actual ghost.
One last question. Rose, does the monster or anyone else that lives here make images or illusions appear in the house sometimes? Does that sound familiar?
I mean, sometimes mommy would be able to make little things, little puppets from lights and stuff, but no. I mean,
Puppets from light? Do you mean like magic?
like little light people. Basically just little minor illusions to kind of make
That's
them
what she's
laugh.
describing. Okay.
Yeah.
I know what she's talking about. Okay.
Anything else in here, guys?
Nope.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
All right, so you
We
say
can't
your
take
little-
the dollhouse with us, I'm guessing, right?
It's
It'd be much too big for me to carry
it's
around.
much too big. It's actually pretty heavy.
Okay.
They spared no expense with this dollhouse. They anticipate it lasting for ages.
Okay.
So no, unfortunately, you couldn't bring it with you.
Okay, I guess I'm just taking a mental picture,
Mhm.
essentially, as much as a
Okay.
dwarf can, and then just walk out.
And again, the children, as you finish your prayers and all of that, they do kind of disappear, and another warm wind blows through the room. Where would you guys like to go?
Say back to the spiral staircase leading down to the basement.
Absolutely. Making a beeline directly to it.
Evitor wants to ask about that office that they saw with the trap door.
Yeah, that trap door.
Maybe that is Lord Durst's an office that maybe we can learn something from before we go to face whatever this is.
There may be something about the monster in there.
Do we know
Is
where
that what
this
you're
office
thinking?
was?
You want to go back down and see?
First floor, right?
All the way to the first floor, yep.
That's what Evander would like to do. That's what he suggests, but he's not the leader. He's not gonna fight if they want to do something else.
Well,
I
at least
have
we
no
can figure it out.
objection.
Okay.
I agree to it.
So you would recall. Actually, hold on. Let me look back at the map. Okay, no. Correction, not the first floor, but the second floor is where you recall the office-looking room to be, with the secret room with the trap door. So I will go ahead, pull you all to the second floor.
Having looked at the dollhouse,
Mhm.
I would have wanted to look for two specific things, and if it's too late, I understand. But where we fought the animated armor, I wanted to see if there was an actual piece of armor in the dollhouse, and then see if there were any in any of the other rooms that we haven't been in yet.
Okay. So yes, there absolutely was a little animated armor in that room. As far as one that you haven't been in yet, let me just double check so I don't lie to you. I don't believe so. I mean, these 4 that are here in this landing, you guys have been here before. This
Right.
is in this room to the south. That's where you found your dog and the harpsichord and the harp and all of that.
Okay.
But these armor, they didn't move or animate or anything like that. So the door to the north, double door, that's where the study was. Who's all going in there?
I'm going right in. Is the door something that can be open, or is it locked?
No, it's not locked. It will open if you head in there.
Navender wants to follow as well.
Yeah, I'd follow behind.
Okay.
You said the armor appears unmoving and safe currently?
Yes, it is unmoving. It hasn't moved since you guys have been in here.
Okay.
So let me go back. Okay, so this room, it appears to double as not only an office space, but also a library of sorts. So there's these red velvet drapes that cover the windows of the room, and there's this exquisite mahogany desk and a matching high back chair that face the entrance where you guys just walked through. And there's a fireplace that sits cold. Above that fireplace hangs another framed portrait, this time of just the windmill perched atop a rocky crag. Situated in corners of the room are 2 overstuffed chairs. Floor to ceiling bookshelves line the south wall. There's a rolling wooden ladder that allows one to easily reach the higher shelves. What do you guys want to specifically look for in here?
Can my token go in the room?
I will say you recall that. Yep, that's where right where Conrad is. That's where that secret door was.
Evander would actually like to look through the books to see if there's any mention of Strahd in any of these, or Barovia in any of these books along the shelves.
So there are some history books of Barovia itself. Some things about culture, the different cities within the area. There's also some that have titles like Heart of Midnight, the Fantastic Devils and Where to Find Them, things like that. But nothing particularly on Strahd.
Are there publication dates at the front of any of these books that I can compare to what I know the current date to be from where we came from?
Yeah, you could definitely open one up real quick.
I could do an investigation check or something.
Yeah. So the first one that you pick up has a date of 973.
And Faerun current year is 1313?
Yep.
Okay. 973. Okay.
500 years?
What condition is the book that is from 973 that I picked up?
It looks fairly, I guess, in okay condition. It's you can tell it was made with some really fine materials, but it is starting to show some of its age,
Okay.
some wear and tear.
Ulrich's going to also take a look at the books. Is there anything, and it's all in common,
Yep.
I'm assuming. And does it seem like a different form of common, like an older style of writing, or?
No, not really.
Okay. Is there anything on maybe like religion or gods or anything of that sort? Anything on the occult?
Go ahead and make a perception check if you're looking for something that. I'm sorry, investigation. That specific. While you do that, what are Connor and Galen doing at this door?
I'd like to find anything if I can, just whatever papers are on his desk, or whatever's strewn around. That gives me maybe like a map of the town of what Barovia actually looks like.
Okay. I will say you. Go ahead. First, make an investigation check for me.
So yeah, I find nothing.
Okay, we don't find any type of map. I will say you do find one thing that's kind of just out in the top drawer there, tucked away in a little folder, and I'll show that to you. Ulrich, as far as what you find, you do find one little scroll that says Rituals of the Life Caller.
Of the life caller.
Life Caller, yeah. And it's, other than that heading, it's kind of written in a script that you don't recognize. But let me pull out what you find here. This is what Galen finds in the top drawer of Mr. Durst's. With that roll, you find a deed to a windmill, basically.
Count Strahd.
I'll let Galen read and summarize.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, so
So it's basically saying Strahd is deeding the Durst windmill to in the Ravenloft Moors, east of the Palati Balin and west of the village of Barovia. Okay. South of
Yeah.
the
Really south of the
had
Fana Forest.
text as well, but I guess this one doesn't.
That's a little easier to read, though, I will say.
It says grantee is further permitted to take Barovian citizens as wards for payment. Is that right? Payment of legal, public, or private debts. Sorry. So long as the grantee provides for health, safety, and shelter of said wards until the end of said ward's natural life. Okay, so it's just gonna sign and seal the deed. Okay.
All right, and Connor, you were looking for that secret door, is that right?
No, he was actually just looking through the books.
Okay.
He's looking for specifically any books on alchemy or any blank books or blank paper.
Yeah, there's plenty of blank parchment paper and things like that around.
Yeah, he's going to shuffle a bunch of that into his explorer's pack.
Okay.
Are there any books of music?
I find much here.
Sorry, are there any sheets of music or anything of performance nature, plays, poetry, anything like that?
You would find some books on poetry, like as you just kind of flip through it, it seems a little dark and weird.
Okay.
But that's all the poetry that's in here.
Okay. Not much of an art aficionado, this Lord Durst sounds like.
Correct.
Having seen the dollhouse, I'm gonna make my way toward that trapdoor, but be very careful because trapdoor in my head is dangerous, so I'm gonna be cautious.
Yeah. Okay, well first you find the secret door there. You're able to, because you know what to look for, so we'll say that you find it. And so this bookshelf where that's kind of hiding that door, it swings open and the hidden hinges, like they squeal, so everyone else would be alerted that this is now being opened.
Guys, I think I found it.
These dusty shelves line the walls inside of this really, really cramped. Now I'm just gonna bring Evander in here,
Okay.
just so you can, see it. But it's this really, really.
Oh, I have no light, so I see Dark.
I see it.
I see darkness.
Darkness. Okay, hold on. My computer is running really slow.
At least it's running, so that's good.
Yeah,
Oh,
so it's this
okay.
really, really cramped room. And you see that it's packed with tomes that are decorated in runes and these kind of like ominous symbols. And you spot a heavy chest at the end of it, and squatting, like basically at the bottom, kind of clutching the chest itself, is a skeleton, and it's covered in these rotting leathers. So that's what you've kind of opened up and walked into.
Is that Tassa who walked into it?
Yeah.
You did, okay. Then I would have followed behind you.
Does it smell like decay, or has this body been
Yeah.
here for a very long time?
It smells pretty bad.
Okay. I'm not going to touch anything because it's possible that whatever happened to this body happened because they were trying to get into the chest. So I'm going to let much smarter individuals than myself deal with it. I'm going to take a step back and let everybody know what's in there.
Question: when Evander saw the year of that publication, did he share that with everyone, or did he keep that to himself?
I would have probably made mention of it, because Evander is probably not savvy enough to know what that would imply about their situation, basically.
And did we all hear and talk about that deed?
Yeah, I'm to assume I would have taken it and passed it around to everybody, or at least put it on the table for everyone to read.
Ulrich looks at it and makes a comment and says, what does this mean with these wards as payment? What would they do with them? Why would they keep them?
Some sort of indentured servitude, it seems, lad.
Yeah, sounds like maybe if somebody couldn't pay their taxes, maybe they would have to work it off here at the manor or something. I don't know.
And Tassa, go ahead and make me a perception check. With advantage, we'll say.
All right. Thank goodness.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you are able to see underneath this chest the outlines of this trapdoor.
I have no means or understanding of traps, so if somebody else can disarm this or figure a way around it, that's great, but I'm not even going to mess with it.
And you saw my whisper, Dungeon Master?
Yeah, and the answer is no.
Isn't it? Okay. Hearing Tasso say this, Ulrich's going to walk over and say, I can at least see if there's some magic surrounding it.
Whatever works. I'm not messing with it.
And Ulrich mutters a couple words in a strange, dark voice he tries to keep very quiet and cast his spell. So this is Detect Magic again. I'm going to focus it on the chest.
Okay. So you do pick up a little bit of magic coming from the chest. It doesn't seem like evil in nature. It actually seems kind of reminiscent of some spell scrolls.
It doesn't seem evil. Some maybe scrolls in here. Or the magic of a scroll.
Does anybody have an ability to disarm traps?
Hi.
Evander says, no, I'm good with my hands, but disarming traps is not something I've had a lot of experience with.
Then I bow myself out of the way and allow Connor to make his way toward the chest.
Conrad's actually looking into the fireplace
Okay.
If there's anything in there.
There's absolutely nothing in there.
Okay. In that case, he'll go in the chest. He'll say, well, if we think there might be a trap and none of us can do anything about it, I think the safest thing to do would be to tie a rope to the chest and then pull it back into the other room before we open it. If there's a trap within the chest, it won't do anything about that, but at least if the area is trapped, we avoid that.
Can
You're the
can
expert.
Evander actually investigate the area around the chest, like the cracks and seams, to see if he can tell if there looks like to be any hidden latches or weight?
Absolutely
like
do
that.
that.
Okay.
And because again, you guys are aware of what you're looking for, what is here, do it with advantage.
Okay. So I assume it'd be investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Connard will assist. I guess there's
Boom.
no.
Well, yeah. Okay, so you're able to not only like make out basically what the chest is, little stone block of the chest is sitting on,
Mm-hmm.
recesses into a little bit of the floor below it. You're also able to pick up on whatever trap was there. This poor unfortunate soul probably triggered.
Okay.
Um, so whether or not it's still active or whether it's been used up and is no longer a concern, you're not entirely certain of that. But
Well, Evander is going to. He will point out the recession in the stone floor beneath it, and suggest if they're going to open this, he doesn't believe they should move it, but possibly open it from afar if they can. Judging by what
Okay.
happened to the last person who opened this chest.
So how are you guys going to do that?
So when Ulrich detected magic, does that mean that it's still active on the chest? Is that what he would have determined from that?
That the trap is.
I guess because he said
you
that he
You didn't detect any other magic from that area or the chest except what felt like spell scrolls.
spell scroll. Okay, so it wasn't specifically on or in the chest.
It seemed to be coming from in the.
From
In
in.
the
Okay. Okay. All right.
Is the
Connard,
chest locked? Sorry about that.
you're good.
The
I
chest.
just want
is
to know,
not-
is the chest locked?
No, it
Is
is
like a
not.
padlock on it? Okay.
Mm-mm.
And it's a wooden chest, right?
Yep.
Connard's going to try to investigate the skeleton for more information about how specifically it might have died.
Okay.
We only had a rogue.
We can't do anyone. You can do like speak to dead or something like that.
I will in a level or two.
Okay. What did you?
Why
Did you
you dead,
roll
bro?
yet? Zach?
I died because I was
not yet.
hungry. Like all the other kids here. Everybody's hungry in this house.
So, upon closer inspection of this, you can see the leather armor. You are also able to find 3 kind of small darts, like poison darts, you would imagine, that are kind of stuck within the armor. Other than that, I would say, based off of the location of the darts, you're able to ascertain that they came from inside the chest. Like you envision that he opened it and it got him right in the chest.
I believe we'll be safe if we stand behind the chest while we open it.
All right.
Who wants to volunteer?
I can do it. I can pull out my shield and try to jimmy it up with my axe.
I'm going to get out of any hallway that this may be pointing toward.
Ulrich
Okay.
just completely walks around the corner side of the bookshelf.
Evander's curious, so he's going to go outside but peek around the corner as this happens.
All right. So we'll just have Galen come in. Is Connor staying in here?
Now he'll clear out to make room.
All right, and as you walk out, something does catch your eye. It's a book on one of these shelves. It says, Secrets of Alchemy, Best Left Unknown.
Oh.
I'll pull it off the shelf and just take a quick glance at it. Does it seem to be kind of like a general primer on alchemy?
I would say it's beyond that. It definitely has some things in there that would pique your interest that maybe you've not seen before.
I'll chuck it into
Without
my
giving too
pack
much.
with the rest of the blank papers.
Okay.
Ulrich is going to take, while everyone's dealing with the chest, take a moment and try and cross-reference this Ritual of a Life collar scroll and see if we can find anything related to that or any other information.
All right. So in the little room there, we'll get to that, Ulrich. I just want to see, how are you guys dealing with this chest and this trap?
Evander's peeking around, but he's not staying in the room.
So it's just me in the room, right? I'm guessing at this point.
Congratulations,
Yes.
you're the winner.
Excellent. Okay.
I'm there just so that people can see what happens. People are curious.
Okay. So as I do that, I guess I'm gonna hand Evander my torch,
Sure. Yeah, I can hold it
So I
around
can-
the corner.
so I
You
can
can
pull
see.
out my shield
Okay.
and put it in front of me, and then I'm gonna take my battle axe and try to jimmy up the lid and just flip it open, doing my best to hide most of my body behind the shield.
Okay. And as you do that, you hear this little tink 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 on your shield as 3 more darts pop out. And then after that, silence.
And then I go,
Evander hears that and
Laddie!
goes, "Are you?
"It's so bad,
Are you okay, Galen? What happened?"
laddie. It took me hand. Ah, it's fine. Come on in, laddies. Just playing.
Oh, you all won't be able to fit in here. It's too small, but
I could care less what's in the chest, so I'm just hanging out.
Evander's curiosity killed the cat, so he's gonna, after he hears that he's safe, he's gonna peek around and
Yeah,
move
I want you to
closer.
peek over me and just stand behind me, so in case.
I can
Who
hold
knows
the
if there's
torch
maybe
over so I can
Yeah.
see what's in the chest.
Ulrich thinks that Galen's even more deranged than at first he thought.
all right. So within the chest itself, you do find like 3 books covered in black leather. If you take the time to open them up, you can see that they're completely blank. You do find 3 spell scrolls in there. And you also find like a pouch of like 125 gold pieces, it looks and feels like. Other than that, you also find just a signed will, basically bequeathing everything to not only just the house, but also the windmill and any other type of lands that the Durst may own, to Rosavalda and Thornbolt Durst in the event of their parents' death.
Oh.
Can I see those spell scrolls?
Mm-hmm. You also do find this tome kind of at the very bottom of this chest, and it's written in Infernal. Does anyone speak that?
Unless that's a version of Dwarvish, no.
You said Connor does?
No,
No?
not,
Is it
not
related to what I whispered you earlier, Dungeon Master, at all?
No.
Is there... No, not. Okay.
And it's not related to Elvish at all? Doesn't look like
No.
Elvish script.
It's
Okay.
literally, it would be marked on your character sheet that you guys speak Infernal.
Okay. No.
Okay. All right, so it just looks quite bizarre and doesn't make you feel really happy looking at it. But you are able to see that there's this little mechanism, again at the bottom in the corner of the chest, and if you pull on it, it swings it kind of open, and you can see that there's basically a ladder that kind of descends down below.
The chest itself swings out of the way,
Yeah,
or in the bottom of the chest, it's a false bottom.
no. So it kind of like swings
Gotcha. Okay.
in front of you. So watch your toes. But as it does swing open, you can see this ladder descending. Again, you're hearing this chanting, this eerie chanting coming from the depths below you.
We have more than one way into this basement.
How many voices does it seem to be?
Multiple.
With his see invisibility spell still active, Conrad's just gonna flip through those 3 blank books, make sure nothing jumps out at him.
Nothing pops out at him.
Sorry, where was the
Yeah.
infernal written that you said?
It was in a separate tome found within the chest.
Is it the same script that's on this scroll that I found on the bookshelf?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that also isn't recognizable to you.
I found a scroll called Ritual of the Life Caller in that room. I think we should look a little more and see if there's anything we can find.
For the sake of brevity, I will tell you there's really not much else in there that you guys will find.
I look and there's nothing.
Thank you for doing that.
What spell scrolls did you find?
That's a great question. So as Ulrich takes a moment to kind of open them and take a look, you can see that they are for Bless, Spiritual Weapon, and Protection against Poison.
And I forget what requirements does a character need to use these?
So I've always done it. Basically, if it's already on your spell list, you can just cast it
Okay.
as a one-off. If it's not, then I would, and it's still kind of within the realm that you would normally, if you are a magic user, you can go ahead, give it a go. Be at disadvantage. The wizard here, he would be able to copy those spells into a spell book with time, but that's the way I've always done it. But I'm a little loosey-goosey.
So for a
But it's a
sorcerer-
one done. Yeah, it's a one done thing. Once you use it, the spell scroll kind of just
Gotcha. Okay.
loses its magic.
But if a sorcerer tries to use it and they don't cast these spells, can they even attempt it?
Yeah, you can attempt it, but it will be at disadvantage.
Okay.
And whether or not, depending on the roll, you may succeed or you may not. But it's a one, and you can try it. If you fail, you can't try it again.
Okay.
So yeah, it was Bless, Protection from Poison, and Spiritual Weapon. We're getting
Getting
close to the very end here, so what
Yeah.
would you guys like to do?
Galen looks at Evan and just goes, "Dad, is there anything in that?" Because I'm to assume Galen isn't gonna really bother too much of what's in there. If there's enough people looking at it, is there anything in there of value? If not, laddie, I'm making my way down.
Evander actually wants to take these spell scrolls and maybe give them to our resident wizard, which would be, Connard, if he can. Because Evander assumes he's the one who knows the most about magic, just because he's seen him do the most magic. And ask if he can make use of any of these.
They aren't especially useful to me. I can't learn any of these spells. I will hold on to them if nobody else wants them.
I'll take the one for the spiritual weapon.
I'll keep the other 2. Can you give me the name of that alchemy book again?
Yeah, hold on. It was Secrets of alchemy, best left unknown.
Okay, I got it.
I'm going to start just making my way down the stairs. I'm sorry, not the stairs, the ladder. But before I pass completely out of view, I just whisper to Evan, make sure you get the pouch of gold, laddie.
Evander like spins it around his finger, already done, and
And I'll
tucks
start
it in
making
his
my way
pouch.
down.
Ulrich wants to be the last one to go down. If no one objects. And while everyone's making their way down, I want to use the rest of my detect magic and just scan as far as I can see and feel in the direction of the voices, especially. DM is frozen.
And muted.
Who cast hold person?
I tried earlier, it failed.
All right, is that better?
There
Yep.
you
Yeah.
go.
That was weird on my end too, guys. Ulrich, I didn't hear anything you said.
Oh, I was trying to use any more
Oh,
of my
no.
detect magic I have, just especially towards the voices to see if I'm picking up anything.
Okay, can you try that one more time? I'm sorry.
No, it's I'm trying to use detect magic to sense anything, especially in the direction of the voices.
All right, that's not a cantrip, right?
I have no more spell slots after this spell. Yeah.
Just making sure.
Yeah, I've been keeping track.
So detect magic as you're going down. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, as standing above, and then also as we go down, just keeping it going as we're moving forward.
Yep. Okay. All right. Outside of what was pinging from the spell scrolls, nothing yet is striking you as magical. But you guys descend down. I will at least pull you into your next map. Oh, exciting times. You descend down, and it so it seems like maybe one level the ladder hits a landing, and again there's another spiral staircase that you guys find yourself walking down. And as you make this descent, the chanting is louder and louder. And it's in they're not speaking common. It's in a language you guys don't recognize, but it sends cold shivers down your spine. So who's taking point? Who went down first? Was it you, Galen?
That was me, yep.
Yeah, and Evander would be right behind him then, I guess.
You're still holding on to my torch, right?
I got your torch.
Don't
I'd
lose
be
that
right
torch.
after them.
Okay. Well, you guys will definitely need it. I will add some light here for you, Evander. Give me just a moment.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys should be able to see that now, right? Galen and Evander.
I'm still in the little room with the chest.
Still in that little room.
Oh, that's right. I haven't moved you guys over. Just a moment.
Oh, there we go.
And then who was coming down third? Was it Tasso?
Yeah, Tasso.
I wish I could move this map sideways. I can't center this very well.
If you right click on it, you should be able to drag it with a little fist.
It goes up and down, but does not move left and right.
Oh.
If I zoom in.
I was gonna say if you scroll wheel in, you might be able to zoom too.
Yeah, I always like just zoom in. I'm gonna put you here though, Tasso.
Okay.
I guess that's a little better there.
We'll have Connard here. And then Ulrich pulling up the rear back here.
So this is the ladder we're on, I guess?
Well, you guys have gone down that spiral staircase that met the ladder.
Oh, okay.
And you've now hit what you would assume is the basement level.
Okay.
And the chanting, it's almost oppressive at this moment. So you guys find yourselves kind of in these tight little hallways, and it forks left and right, as you can see where you are, Evandur. Both of them lead into darkness. And floating out of this dark blackness, you hear this chanting. It's almost ethereal in nature, but it doesn't feel good. And again, it sounds like there's multiple people chanting, multiple voices that are echoing off of the stone walls that have been built up here. It's packed earth that you guys are technically standing on. And you can't quite make out what they're saying, but it does leave you with this very eerie and uneasy feeling. And from a hall, I would say, let me take a look here. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna say Galen, based off of where your token is at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You can even hear this kind of guttural growling coming from around this corner. And Tasso, you can
right or left?
To your left. Tasso,
Gotcha.
you can
Okay.
make out this kind of skittering sound not too far ahead. And that's where we're going to stop.
Oh boy.
Spooky,
The whole
spooky
time,
tunnels.
I'm hearing chanting though, right?
Yep.
Oh wow.
Get
Are they
around.
just going, I want to kill everyone. Satan is good. Satan is our pal.
Yeah, they're chanting in a language that you can't discern. You don't know it.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, it doesn't feel good though.
Mm.
The perfect ending to a perfectly nice and happy little adventure we're having.
Right.
Yeah.
And that
So
skittering is a real positive sign too. So.
Oh yeah, all the time.
I will say, again, don't change your hit points, spell slots, none of that, because you guys have not had any type of rest
Mhm.
going
Yeah.
since we started here. And yes, Jeremiah, the dog will follow you down.
Put him in my backpack or something to get him down the ladder.
Yep. Because
Whether he
you
wants
don't
to
want
or
to
not.
leave this animal here.
He's my buddy now. I mean, we go way back.
Like you started to leave him, but then he whimpered and
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, buddy. And into my backpack, and yeah, you that's how you're carrying him, we'll say.
Cool. All right. Perfect.
All right. Any questions so far?
No.
I kind of
No.
wish I wasn't a bard for this because I don't get to sing too many songs for a big empty house, you know.
Well, not yet. But don't worry. You'll have your moment.
If you survive.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys already know this, but make sure you're keeping track of all the stuff that you're picking up as we're moving
Yep.
along.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, that's it for now. Next session, this was obviously no combat at all. I'll give you guys a heads up. There's going to be some combat in our next session.
Okay. And so
Sounds
we're
good.
gonna plan on doing 2 weeks from now, right? On the 4th of October, is that right?
Yep. I hope you all don't die.
Thanks.
Oh boy.
I don't have high hopes for it. But if you do, don't worry. Don't worry. We'll either roll you up a new character if you want, or
Great.
options. You know.
Right.
I'll just stand behind Galen. He'll cut off things' arms so they can't hurt me, right?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So
I'll cast gentle repose on your corpse, and we'll just haul it around until we're high enough to the caster is dead.
Might have enough room in my backpack. I'll have the dog scoot over a little.
yeah, he's kind of like licking at your ear too.
Oh, he's the best.
All right. Well, that was great. That was
awesome. Thank you so much.
that's
Yes, thank you.
our first live stream. It was a little quieter here, but I think that was a lot of fun, and I look forward to getting into combat and hoping we don't all die for our first fight. You know.
Yeah. So, especially you, Ryan, because I know you're a little bit new. Look over all your abilities and features, and even as a bard, don't be afraid to like go in there and stab shit. You know.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. But
I will do my best to. I'll do my best to hit and run because I only got leather armor on.
There you go.
don't forget about the disengage action. That's
Oh,
a nice one.
I'm gonna have to look up that. I don't know if I've checked that one. So.
Okay. Well, I can send you some information on it.
Yeah,
on,
if
like,
you
the
want to,
action
I would
take.
appreciate it.
Okay. All right. I'm excited for our next session.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll
Yep.
finally get into the heart of this mystery.
That's right.
Baruch.
I was
What do you
not
guys
expecting to free so
think
many spirits today.
Yeah. A lot of spirits. What are your thoughts on what's going on here? Just real quick, throw some stuff out at me.
Talking in character or
Out of
Yeah, I
character.
think it's out of character.
It might be a little unfair for some of us to answer that. So.
Oh. I don't know what you
I'm not sure what's going on, but I at this point I don't think I care too much about cutting people's hands off anymore because I'm just gonna find out they're not real anyways, and
It only takes one, and then they just
Right.
get easier from there.
and then I'll just find out that they were locked in some kind of room and they died because of hunger, and then I'll be like, oh well, I'll just send you on your way.
Well, I thought you guys did very, very well today.
Well,
I
say for me,
enjoyed
it almost feels almost like more of a murder mystery we're going through here. You know, figuring out what's happening
Yeah.
to this
Yeah.
in this house, following clues and things. So it's very different than what I envisioned it to be. That's cool.
Hopefully in a good way, right?
Oh yeah,
Good.
I'm not dead, so you know, I figured if we were
Not
in
yet.
combat, I might be have already died. So
That's not my business. Don't worry. Kill Evandur. Don't
first thing. All right. Well, I'm gonna probably shut down the stream. So thank you again, Doreen, for leading
thanks,
us
Doreen.
through.
Thank you guys for showing up. I'm looking forward to the next session. So
Well, and one of the comments I got was they loved the music in the background. They wanted to have that
Oh, yeah.
same ambiance. So shout out to what is it called? Tabletop. What is it called?
yeah, this one's tabletop audio. It's already kind of built into Roll20. So
Cool. So
They
shout
do,
out to
like,
the
they have
ambiance
their own
music.
separate site as well that anyone can pull up and use.
Well, awesome.
So, yeah.
Thanks again for anyone who watched and
Thank
for
you
all these
very
wonderful
much.
people who participated. Again, 2 weeks from today, October 4th, we'll pick it up again at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Yep.
So till next time, y'all enjoy your adventures in Faerun or wherever you are. Good night, everybody.
Later.
All right, bye.